Kavalan Solist Madeira Cask cask strength Taiwanese single malt whiskey. Should this be in your collection? Stay tuned for the Whiskey Whistle. What's up, my whiskey people? Mark here from Whiskey Whistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from Winnipeg, the center of North America, bringing you a very special Taiwanese single malt whiskey. You might have heard of it. It's called Kavalan. All right, so Kavalan, of course you've heard of it. Award-winning, just famous everywhere. Everybody wants Kavalan, and it's pretty pricey. So you kind of got to save up the scratch if you're going to grab a bottle of this, don't you? So anyway, so this is Kavalan Madeira Cask, and this one in particular is for the Canadian market from the Truth Malters Company. Hey guys and gals. So anyway, so this one is 55.6% alcohol by volume. It's single cask, it's cask strength, and this one was a cask D, so that D tells us something about the Madeira. So you should look at the different Madeira producers. So D 150507. That's 2015-05. That's May 07, the 7th. 2015 May 7th was when this was put in cask. And it was bottled. It's on the back of the bottle, right at the back there. This was bottled on the 16th of April of 2021. So we are getting up just about to 6 years. It's 5 years less, 6 years less a month, basically. In fact, less about 3 weeks. So pretty surprising. You know, like, why not keep it in cask and get that extra year? But I guess the point is, it's done when it's done, right? Okay, so I'm going to lose the hefty box. It is quite gorgeous, and they've moved to a square presentation as opposed to the former tubular style. And it's basically just box card versus the pleather, which was attractive, but I don't know. I think this is better for the environment, and probably will compost better. So here on Whiskey Whistle, we're going to pour this whiskey. We'll check out the color. We'll check out the legs of the whiskey, the nose, the palate, and the finish. Neat, and then with water, and then give it a Whiskey Whistle whiskey score. And if that sounds good, then subscribe to Whiskey Whistle. Right now, it's right over here. Hit the bell as well. Ding, ding. So that you're notified of future Whiskey Whistles. Last but not least, check me out on Patreon, especially if you're binging on Whiskey Whistle, and I know that some of you are. That is patreon.com/Whiskey Whistle. Check me out there. You'll get your name in the credits at the end of this video and future videos. You'll also get advanced viewing of future Whiskey Whistles. Last but not least, you'll be able to get yourself a Whiskey Whistle glass. Not this one yet. That'll be for perhaps next year. The logo is about this size, and that's the way that Glencairn makes it. They don't like to have the big ones because they get kind of distorted, but I'm okay with that. All right, so let's get that poured first of all. Now, before we get started, a quick shout out to the Shane family, the people who run Truth Malters. Hope you're all doing great in the lead up to Christmas. Let's get that poured. In the Joe Gulino glass. This glass was courtesy of him. I'm down to my last one. I gave some away. I broke 2, so that kind of sucked. Okay, so first of all, we'll check the color out. I mean, it's pretty obvious this is very dark. So let's just see how dark this is. I'll let you have a good look at it first. I think it's basically mahogany. It's about the darkest kind of hardwood you can get. So let me have a quick look. It's very dark. It's also got a slight reddish hue, so kind of like red clay, a dark red clay, but even darker than that. Very attractive. And we'll have a look at the legs. I know you love the legs. So I've had quite a few Kavalans on the channel. I want to say this might be the 7th, maybe the 8th video for Kavalan on Whiskey Whistle. And I'm really excited to try this one. So pretty Pretty quick legs at first, but boy, they slow down fast. The secondary legs are super slow. They're hanging on to that lip there. And if you can get a sense of that, it'll move it so you can maybe catch the shadows. So it's higher ABV, it's cask strength. That makes things a little less viscous, actually. However, because it's cask strength, there's more congeners. That makes it more viscous. Also, Kavalan uses extremely fresh casks, and also the temperature there makes it such that they're just getting further with less time than places like Scotland or Canada or other parts of Northern Europe or North America. I guess Kentucky's pretty good. Texas is very similar probably to the Taiwanese temperature. Let's get into the nose, shall we? I'm super excited about this. Now, stylistically, get this. This is a single malt whiskey that I know absolutely every single bourbon nut out there would love to try. And probably you'll fall in love with the brand. It's supremely cask forward. You still do get the Kavalan signature, but it's hidden pretty deep in there. We'll probably get to it with a bit of water, but as it stands, we're looking at something that's just very, very cask forward, very content forward. The Madeira from Portugal. Madeira wine, if you're not sure, is a fortified wine. It's one particular island of Portugal, and that's where they make it. So we get some medium roast coffee, very fresh medium roast coffee. We get some salted chocolate, like Lindt sea salt. There are lots of fruits in here as well. Really dark dried apricots. And we've got dried cherries. We have some dried, what else is red and dried? We have fresh raspberry jam. Some nice citrus tones, a little bit of quince. And a little bit of yuja, citron. In Korea, it's called yuja. It's called something else in Japan. It's probably called something yet again different in places that speak China, like Taiwan. And then you get some rich toffee tones. So a little bit like the center of a score bar. Some sponge toffee. And I keep forgetting the name of that dessert. Starts with a P. It's a milky dessert. Starts with a P. Can't think of it. It's kind of pudding-like, and you'll put some fruit on top. What is the name of it? Okay, and definitely the toasted, slightly burnt sugar topping of crème brûlée, but not exactly the pudding part of the crème brûlée. All right, so onto the palate. I'm so excited to get this in my mouth. Let's dive in there. Super spicy. It's a spice bomb. It's a fruit bomb. There is a touch of enjoyable light sulfur that I would say is part of the Kavalan signature. So there seems to be, kind of like Macallan, a slight, brimstoney kind of it's really hard to be positive, but it's really nice here. And I certainly have had some Kavalans that have maybe a little bit too much sulfur. But what happens with those, and I'll put that in a video soon, is that you leave it for like a year. Just leave it for a year. Have a couple of drams, and you're like, man, that's just way too much sulfur for me. Leave it for a year. Mind blown how well it recovered, how much I enjoy it now. And I'm going to bring that up on a video very soon with that very bottle. It's a almost 10-year-old Oloroso Sherry Solist. All right, back into the palate here. The second sip, and Jason over at Jason Whiskey Wise, if you're watching, of course this is right up Jason Whiskey Wise speak. The second sip is far more fruity than the first. Raspberry, fresh blackberry. There's even a little bit of cranberry in there. Cranberry sauce. That tin of fruit candies that your grandma had, that you either love them or you didn't, and you probably got sent to the dentist a few times because of those. There's even a little bit of icing sugariness to this. And I'm experiencing the finish, of course, already, as I've had a few sips. It's dry. I'm actually getting a little bit of I get a little bit of weird sweat when I have things that are dry, or very, very tart and slightly astringent. And so things that do it for me are like unripe kiwi. So I break out in eyebrow sweat. It's super weird. But anyway, so it's got a nice astringency to it. But it is super fresh. It's super long. It's a very long finish. A big spice kick, some ginger, candied ginger, pardon me. Some, what's that weird ginger candy called? It's like a little toffee. It's chewy. Can't think of it. All the fruits are there. Some passion fruit showing up here on the finish. And the spice and the fruit carry for quite a while. You've got a little bit of fruit peel. So imagine the skins, if you could. The skins, maybe even the pumice of grapes as that carries on. So a little bit tannic. And then deep in there, there's some nice rich vanillas and some really rich toffee with a little bit of a slight, like, what's the word? Espresso con pan? Espresso con pane? Pagna? Espresso con pagna? I think that's it. So a slight milky coffee, fresh coffee flavor deep in there. Now I want to add some water here. And I know there's a lot of people out there that think that bottle strength is the only way to go. And I'll say to you that you're missing out on a lot of flavor experiences. And no, it's not always great. Sometimes it's actually detrimental. Sometimes there's no change at all. But oftentimes, in fact, I might even say most of the time, there is a enjoyable change that occurs in the glass. So now let me just kind of mix that up a little bit here. Let that settle down a little bit. And some other things that'll be coming up. I'll have the Paul John Oloroso coming up. The Kilkerran 8-year-old 56.9% recharge sherry. Scarabus 10. And Teeling, a Canada single cask for KWM. Hi, Andrew. What else will I have coming up? Some crazy, insane bourbons that, that Joe sent me. Some things that Graham sent me, and I'll have him on the channel. And looking back at the wall there, I've got some Balcones, some single, what can I say, independent bottlings. One's an independent bottling from Boutique. There it is. And another one is an independent bottling, but they've actually further aged it in their own casks. That is Dumangin. And it's right over here. So Dumangin, it's a Balcones, and I think further aged in Champenois. Champenois, kind of, I think that's fortified wine. Cognac too, lots of cognac coming up. All right, so let's get back into the nose for the Kavalan Solist Madeira. So with water, and I put in about 1 milliliter there. No. About 4 milliliters, pardon me. With water, you get a lot of buttery toffee coming through. I'm getting some Werther's Original. I am getting the pudding side of the creme brulee now. Panna cotta, is that it? That's the one. Yeah, so panna cotta, milky pudding, creme brulee pudding. We still have the coffee driving the nose here, which is really nice. And cocoa coming through. Some nice powdered cocoa. Oh, and I've got a tomatin. Tomatin? I always forget. Tomatin. I think it's tomatin. Tomatin? I don't know. Anyway, I've got a one of those. It's a KWM pick. And it is the most chocolatey whiskey that I've ever tried. And grab one if it's still on the shelves there. I would love to grab another, but I'm kind of near the max here. Either I got to sell more houses, or else this channel needs to explode. Yeah. Okay, so some nice coffee, some chocolate, milky puddings. We still have some nice fruit, like a raspberry compote or coulis. Well, with water, it is just so much more of everything. More fruit, a little bit less spice, a little bit more sweetness coming through there. The finish is still tannic, astringent, fruity, fruit skins, pumice. And then you get the sweetness coming through after. We've got the grandma's fruit candies again. and it carries a little bit of vanilla wisps coming out there and just trailing off nicely. Quite a nice, long, enjoyable finish. I think I need one more taste of this because it's so good and I really enjoy it. I want to talk a little bit more about what this smells and tastes like. So I mentioned the buttery sort of toffee flavor now on the nose. There's a little bit of fresh pastry, like nicely lemon iced pastry. Something like can't think of the word, but a Danish pastry, a little bit of lemony icing, and some fresh strawberry kind of compote in the middle of that. You get that in the summertime, and it's delicious. Very nice. Okay, my final taste here. It's also got a little tiny kick of a little bit of kind of like a spicy chili note that just kind of, again, adds an extra bit of complexity to this. And I think you can see my face, and you can probably tell where this is going. So what'll I do here? I'm going to give this a preemptive malt hug. And I think this might be my first ever Kavalan malt kiss. So here we go. Yeah. Okay, so the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Kavalan Madeira Cask for Canada, 55.6% ABV. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 94 out of 100. You heard it, 94 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Kavalan Madeira Solist. And fantastic bottle. I highly recommend it. It's $275 in Canada, around. And I think if you're a Kavalan fan, it's a must buy. And if you are Kavalan curious, then I'd say this would be a good one, especially if you're into bourbon, high proof bourbon. And also if you like spicy and very fruity types of flavors in your Scotch whiskey. It is unpeated, or I believe it's unpeated, probably no peat at all there. And a nice little bit of a Macallan uplifting little kiss of a nice flavor that's adding a little bit of saltiness there, that salted lint chocolate, sea salt lint chocolate that I mentioned. So really, really excellent. Grab one. Let me know your thoughts if you've tried it. Leave a comment below. And if you're somewhere else and you bought a different cask number of the Solist Madeira, then I'd love to hear your thoughts about what it's like. And did you buy extras? Did you go back and buy more? Did you share it with your friends because it was just so freaking delicious? I would really like to know that. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the future Whiskey Whistles coming up. Again, my name is Mark. Subscribe, don't forget that. Check me out on other social media like Instagram at WhiskyWhistle, Twitter at WhiskyWhistle. I'm on TikTok now at, you guessed it, WhiskyWhistle. See you there, folks. Bye now.